Now it's time to preview an upcoming game with Ryan Metzler.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan Metzler here again, and today we're going to be doing yet another Kickstarter preview. This time we're going to look at a dungeon crawl called Baldrick's Tomb, the roguelike dungeon crawl. Now this is a dungeon crawl for 2 to 4 players in which you're trying to go through multiple levels of a dungeon, getting the most out of each floor before the dungeon floor collapses, collecting money, defeating enemies, avoiding traps, and collecting scrolls in order to have the most money by the end of the game. Now you can do this by maybe helping out your opponents a little bit, or maybe even kind of hindering them a little bit, and trying to collect Baldrick's gem, which is worth an extra couple of points. But real quick, we're going to open up the box and see what you get inside of it. And remember, these are Kickstarter quality components. These are not the final components after the game has been produced, but what we have here is representative of what you'll get using the same functions. We'll see how the game plays, and then we'll come back here and I'll sum it all up for you at the end. So here you can see the components, or prototype components, for Baldrick's Tomb, the roguelike dungeon crawl. Now, as the name suggests, this is a dungeon crawl game, but it's going to be a fairly simple one. It's going to be a quick play. You're going to be able to put it out on the table. You're going to be able to play it with pretty much any age range, and you're going to run through this dungeon trying to collect the most money and get out with the most money at the end of the game. Now, the setup we're looking at here, as a reminder, again, these are prototype components, so you have some gold here. These will be what you're trying to collect to have the most of at the end of the game. You're going to see several decks of cards. So we have up here are scroll cards, which are going to be kind of like magic spells that are going to help you throughout the game. They're going to be traps, which are generally going to be bad for you. You're going to see the monster cards here, which will be things that you can fight in order to earn more money, but will damage you or potentially poison you. And then you're going to see a couple more decks of monster cards, which are going to come out later in the game to make the monsters a little bit harder. And you're going to see several different things. So you'll see there are these rubble tokens here. These are going to be what reveal these different monsters or traps or scrolls or treasures, which of course is going to be gold that you're collecting. So this is how you pick up gold, but you can also get it from monsters. Sometimes you can steal it from your opponents with scrolls, and traps are going to generally either damage you or take your money away. In addition to that, each player is going to have their own little player sheet here. In this one, you can see we have this kind of thief-type person here. And on this card, they're going to have several things. You'll see they have a hit point indicator. Usually, you start with 6 hit points, but this character has been dealt randomly a skill which gives her 8 hit points. So she gets to start with more hit points. In addition, she has 2 more skills. Every character at the beginning of the game will get 3 skills. So she has Trapsmith, which says whenever she finds a trap, she gets a gold automatically. She also has Switcheroo that says she can switch once per level. Basically, she can switch one of the revealed tiles when she reveals it with a token that's not in the game. Maybe she doesn't like what she found, so she switches it out for a different rubble token and then resolves that one instead. The other characters also get 3 of these apiece. So these abilities range from various different things. Some of them allow you to move these rubble tokens closer to you once they're revealed. Some of them will let you heal your opponents in order to get gold, or to cure their poison in order to get gold. We have things like Parachute here, which is when you respawn on the map. Sometimes you die or you get moved and respawn on the map. It'll let you choose where you want to go. So the abilities you can get are many and varied. They're going to be randomly distributed at the start of each game, but you can get different ones each game, which will change your experience. Now, as I said, this area out here is randomly laid out. There are these tokens. You're going to choose 10 of them at the start of the game, and you're going to mix the exit for the game into those tokens. So one of these tokens is an exit. Some of them may be monsters, some of them may be traps, some of them may be treasures. Now, when you start on your turn, each player is going to randomly get placed out onto the board, and the player who's first, which in this case is going to be this thief, because she's the first to land, will roll these 2 dice, and she'll figure out where she's going to go. So she starts on 2, 8, and we'd take her. We'd find 2 red and 8, and she's going to start on top of this token. The next player would do the same, so we get 4, 3, 4 blue maybe, so he's going to go to 4, 3, also on top of a token, and the last player is at 5, 5, which is right here. After you set this up, you're going to start going through, and each player on their turn has 4 movement. This movement can be orthogonally to any space they're already on. So it could be 1, 2, 3, 4 to move over here, or it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, or however you want to combine it. In addition, if you have gold, you can pay 2 gold to move further on your turn. But remember, gold is what you're trying to collect, so if you pay too much of it, you're going to end up losing victory points, essentially. So you could move 4, so maybe she moves 1, 2, 3, 4, and any of these rubble she lands on, she's going to reveal. So this one is a trap. Good for this character because she automatically gets a gold for revealing a trap. However, she has to reveal a trap from the deck and resolve it immediately. And this trap says her hit points are reduced to 1. So she's going to go immediately to 1, but maybe she has some scroll cards that she starts the game with in order to help counteract this. So let's see here. She could, nope, this one's going to let her steal gold, and this one here says that she can place a damage token on a monster or play it on another player, and that person gets -1 move. So she doesn't have anything to help her. She's going to take hit points all the way down to 1, which is a big hit for her, because if you get to 0 hit points, you get knocked out. And when you get knocked out, not only is your turn done, but you're also going to lose half of your treasure, rounded down, and you're going to respawn somewhere randomly on the board at the end of your turn. But your hit points will recover. If you were poisoned, you'll recover from that, and you'll get to start anew, but you lose some of your treasure. So you never die in the game. You just get knocked out temporarily and lose some of your treasure. Anyhow, after her 4 move, she's going to remove any tokens she has resolved, and then she's going to place them back on the board by randomly distributing them. So 2, 3. So we look for 2, 3, and this token goes right here. Everyone now knows that it's a trap, and they can decide to go there if for some reason they benefit from traps, but they're likely going to avoid it. And then the next player in turn order would go. And so this player here maybe moves 1, 2, 3, 4, and reveals this token. And it's a scroll, so he gets to draw a scroll from this deck and add it to his hand. And so this one says here, take up to 3 gold, or take a scroll card from an adjacent player. So if you manage to move adjacent to a player, on your turn you could use this scroll to steal from them. Maybe they have a lot more money than you, or maybe you think they're holding onto a great card that will benefit you later. Anyhow, likewise, this player would then roll the dice and try and, replace the token. So 3, 3, it's going to go here. We have kind of a clustering of tokens in this area of the board. And the next player would go. And you're going to do this for each player. So maybe he goes 1, and he reveals this token, and it's treasure. So he draws a treasure card, and he gets 3 gold simply for finding that he adds to his supply. So now this player happens to have the most gold. Then maybe he moves over to this space here, 2, 3, and he reveals this, and it restores all of his hit points. So now if he had taken any damage, he'd be restored to full hit points. And then he could choose to land on this scroll and draw a scroll for himself that he could use later. And all 3 of these tokens we would roll the dice for and place them on the appropriate coordinates. Let's just say that they went here. After everyone has done this, you're going to advance this impending doom token 1 space. And you'll see there's a counter here, and it says hard, normal, and easy. If you want to make a hard game, you're only going to go through 4 turns per level of the dungeon for each player. So we'd be 1/4 of the way done with that. For a normal game, there are 5 rounds with each player going once per round. And in the easy, there are 6, so you can explore longer to try and get more treasure. You're going to keep on like this with playing your turns, taking 4 movement, until you either find an exit, which is going to be one of these hidden tokens, only one of them. So we'll flip them all over and we'll find it. The exit is apparently one of these top 2, and it looks like this. If on your turn you find the exit, you can choose to leave through the exit, and if you do so, you're done for the rest of that floor. So even if you leave on the second round of play, you are now safe from monsters, safe from getting hit, safe from potentially dying and losing your gold, you're not dying but getting knocked out, but you also aren't going to get to take extra turns to find more. So you're looking for this. Now, as I said, you may encounter monsters as you go along the way. Monsters, there's one right here, look like this, and when you reveal those, you're going to draw a card from this monster deck. And the monster deck at the beginning will only have level 1 monsters in it. This one says, oh no, it's a kobold. And on this card you can see several things. 1, it is level 1. 2, it has 2 hit points, and 3, it is worth 2 gold if you manage to defeat it. However, you'll see at the bottom here, there's a chart of how you could defeat it. And it has a bunch of numbers, 1 through 8, to correspond with the 8-sided dice in the game. And you're going to roll dice against this monster and see if you damage it. Now, you'll see on a 1 or a 2, this monster is going to damage you. That's what that claw symbol means. On a 3, 4, or 5, it's going to damage you, but you're also going to damage it back. And it's 1 hit point either way. So if it damages you, you take 1. If you damage it, it takes 1. And on a 6, 7, or 8, this one is going to get damaged by you, and it won't damage you. So you hit it, it doesn't hit back. And you need to do 2 hit points worth of damage to it. So you'd keep going until you either do 2 hit points of damage to it, or until it manages to knock you out, or you can choose to run away from it. But there's no monetary value for running away. So if you choose to run away, you escape from the monster, but you have to pay gold to do so equal to its level. So it's actually going to cost you for getting away. Now, if you defeat it, you take the gold, which is good for you because you're building up your hoard. But, of course, you may take some damage along the way. Anyhow, over the 5 rounds on the first level, you're going to be doing this, trying to gather as much gold as possible, and escape the floor before the 5th round, because at the end of the 5th round, the floor collapses, and if you're still on there, you're going to take some damage. And if you take damage, in this case, you're actually going to get knocked out, and you're going to lose half of your gold, and then a new round will start. So as you go on collecting that, you'll move this down, and at the end of the 5th round it will end, and anyone who hasn't already left the level, when they leave the level to go over here, they're going to be ready for level 2, but anyone that hasn't left will lose half of their money rounded down. Now, at the end of that, once everyone's done, you're going to clear all of these tokens off of the board. Basically, everything that isn't the exit will get cleared off. The exit will stay because there has to be an exit on every floor. Additionally, at the start of the next round, you're going to take the Baldrick's Gem token, which can only be found after level 2, and it's going to get mixed in with the next floor's worth of tokens, which we would, of course, randomize here, and we would grab 10 more tokens to place out onto the board with those 2, which would get mixed in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we would mix in these 2 tokens here, shuffle them all around, and the player who was the first to leave the previous floor is going to set them all out on the board. They have to be set out so that they're at least 1 space apart from each other. So you'd end up with some type of distribution like this, maybe, where all of the tokens that are distributed, we don't know where the exit is or where that gem is that we had. In addition, this marker is going to move down 1 level, and we're going to shuffle all of the level 2 monsters into the monster deck. So now there are level 1 and 2 monsters in this deck. The level 2 monsters typically have a little bit more hit points or hit a little harder. Some of them will poison you, and poison is going to be this green marker, which will go up as you get poisoned. And if your poison ever meets your hit point marker, you get knocked out, just like normal, and you will lose half of your gold. And then at the end of your turn, you'll actually respawn on a random spot determined by the dice, 2, 5, and you'll go back and you will, of course, have less money, but you'll have your full hit points and no poison again. But on starting a new floor, you come down randomly and you find a new spot to start on, and you're going to basically lay this out like the previous round, where you're going to start moving around, trying to find treasure, trying to find scrolls, trying to avoid traps, and fight some monsters successfully in order to get more gold. The only difference is that one of these tokens is going to be the gem, and of course, I randomized them, so I don't know which one, but it's this one right here. And if you find this, you're going to pick it up, and it's going to be worth 5 treasure. But this can be stolen from you or lost if you manage to get knocked out. When you get knocked out, it's going to go to the player with the least gold, and if there's a tie, there'll be a roll-off for it, and whoever wins that will get the gem. But essentially, it's just 5 treasure that can be stolen by getting next to another player and beating them in a roll. When you do this, of course, it's going to be counting towards your victory point total, and you're going to be continuing to do this through levels 3 and 4 of the dungeon. The only thing that's going to change is the monsters are going to get harder as you go on, so you're going to have level 3 monsters that either hit harder or poison or have more hit points, but may be worth more gold. And you're going to keep going until you get down to level 4. And at the end of level 4, whoever manages to have the most gold by doing all of this the best is the winner. Now, there's a couple extra things that will earn you gold. For example, finding the exit. Being the first to find the exit is worth a gold. Additionally, being the first to leave the level is worth a gold. So there are incentives to get through the map fast. There are incentives also to fight monsters to get you more money, to search for treasure in order to get you more money, and of course to hold on to Baldrick's Gem as long as possible, because having it at the end of the game is a big bonus. Through all of that, whoever manages to get the most gold will be the winner. Well, there you have it. That is Baldrick's Tomb, a 2 to 4 player dungeon crawl where the objective is to get the most money. Now, this is up on Kickstarter from 5th Street Games, and they're looking for your support in order to get it published. The game is a pretty short and easy little dungeon crawl to learn. You can definitely pick it up in a matter of a few minutes, and you're going to remember the rules the next time you play because, you know, it really manages to streamline everything and make it very simple to remember. The game is going to change a lot based on the skills that you're dealt at the beginning of the game. Every player gets those 3 random skills, and they're going to somewhat dictate how you're going to approach going through the floors of the dungeon. Maybe you want to spend your time going around and fighting a lot if you have extra hit points, or maybe you have a skill that allows you to do more damage to monsters, and that's going to be a good way for you to collect gold. Maybe you're going to want to try and activate traps, although that can be risky, but if you have a skill that gives you a benefit for activating traps, be it gold or other benefits, it may be a good idea for you to do that in order to try and collect things. If you stumble across Baldrick's Gem early, it may be a good idea for you to avoid having different obstacles to go through and just get out of the floor as fast as possible before other people steal the gem from you. But if you do that, you're going to miss the chance to get treasures, to fight monsters, and get even more gold. So there's a lot of different options here, a lot of different ways to play, and it's going to change each time based on which 3 skills you get dealt. Now, the game, as I said, is looking for support. The components you saw are not final quality components, but they have a lot of interesting art and a lot of interesting stuff going on their Kickstarter page. So if all of this sounds good to you, be sure to check out Baldrick's Tomb on Kickstarter from 5th Street Games and see if it's a game for you.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.